Body Snatchers 93, I'm in a couple of minds about. I know often if it's brought up online, it's in, like, I remember in the old IMDb or in certain, God forbid, Reddit contexts, it seems to be slightly dismissive. It's like, oh yeah, that's the weaker of the three that came out. I mean, people consider it better than that thing that came out in the 2000s. I've never even seen. I don't think many people even have. But it's a situation where, I don't know, this one doesn't seem to be taken as seriously, for it seems to have gotten a lot of positive reviews at the time, and there's a fairly beefy analysis section on the Wikipedia now, which is probably a bit recent. But in any case, I quite like the film. I'm fond of a lot of Abel Ferrara's films in general. A couple of his recent ventures, particularly Siberia with Willem Dafoe, was one of the better films of that year, or actually probably likely one of the very best films of that year. I'd love to discuss on this channel in the near future, actually. But fantastic cinematography. I've tried to demonstrate that at times within these screen caps. I like how gothic and morbid this film gets at times, although if we take this as a straightforward like horror thriller, there's a lot to appreciate about Body Snatchers 93. And okay, so half the reason a lot of us have appreciation for Body Snatchers 56 and 78 is the idea of the pod people menace being something really relatable and creepy compared to, you know, the menace of a giant monster, even the menace of a Dracula, any number of alien invasions. There's certain, you know, there's a exterior menace which is hard to manifest in an actual reality. But there's something about the pod people, it does seem very familiar and closer to our anxieties in day-to-day life, that of being ostracized and of mob violence. There's something about the pod people which is just brilliantly scary. And in the 50s, it evoked clearly both fears of communism and also the sort of fervent, horrifying nature of the anti-communist movement at times in the United States in the mid-50s, or early mid-50s. And people have noted how the setting of San Francisco in 1978, Body Snatchers, was very, very deliberate. It just seems such a overt case of attempting to, I don't know, to demonstrate how that flower power dream had really devolved into this corporatist sort of just like, you know, liberal, like socially progressive, but like, you know, just like a hack centrist sort of nonsense of but that the boomers sort of evolved into and have become like very infamous for today. The dissolution of the counterculture movement, it's fairly overt. You can't really unsee that in 78 Body Snatchers. And so what's 93? What's 93 Body Snatchers trying to say to us? Set in a military base, okay, but that's a bit of a statement. It seems like more than just a vehicle for some cool thriller set pieces. So what's it trying to say? Like, you know, the military is like all regimented and scary, and you know that can take over the nation in a sort of like coup d'etat sense, I guess. This is after the Cold War. This is that sort of cozy 90s end of history period. Like, what a naive... I mean, not that this is... I would argue this is ineffectively anti-militarist. Because it portrays too much... The military is too much of a caricature for it to be effective analysis in their respect. And I think it's like, God, they had such a like a cozy sort of cartoonish view of the world in the 90s. Like, you can't really separate the... Like, that pathology doesn't really originate in the military. Like, it gets there, and it manifests there quite demonstrably, but also isn't part of the issues of the military and this is why the 90s is so naive. It's like, we saw what the American military was doing around the world in the 2000s, what it's sanctioning in the decades beyond that. We see what that sort of Western-backed military machine does to the world. It's like assimilating Americans. It's like that's kind of cute in comparison to what the actual evil of the States is, and then what, like create this like sort of global dominion. But like at the end of the day, it's like The military machine is financed by capital. I just feel like it's. I don't want to get too like sort of like I don't want to burn down any parties here, because of my little hack stream of consciousness political party nonsense here, but it just seems like such a basic idea. I mean, again, as thriller set piece, it's all well and good and fine. I mean, this storyline was apparently worked on by the likes of Larry Cohen and Stuart Gordon. That's all. I can see what they're going for, but it's so thin compared to the genuine zeitgeist capturing of the earlier films. I mean, this does capture the zeitgeist in an interesting, inevitable way, in that it displays how sort of small the concerns of the 90s were by comparison to the subsequent millennium. But my goodness, it just doesn't seem as visceral or telling or insightful as do prior films in this respect. And in that sense, I understand why people are dismissive of it. But insofar as it just being pure thriller fare, it's entirely impressive, as in a dog soldier sense, I suppose. Think about it. It's not displaying. It's very clearly defining, the pod people as assimilating the army. Like, there are good soldiers, unassimilated and bad. And then the characters themselves use military weapons to fight off the pod people and intend to use, hopefully find another military base for support. So I don't think I don't know what the film's trying to say, and I don't think they knew or cared either. Look, the fact that they don't care, I don't mind that they didn't care. I will say that. It just distracts me a little bit compared with the fairly confident attempts at social criticism present in the prior two films. And, there was a bunch of different writers working on these films. It's probably just a mishmash of whatevers, and none of them was saying, it's not mine, I'm just working on it in the end. And it's entertaining, if nothing else. I appreciate it for that wholeheartedly, yes.